If you haven't figured out, we get about 5 minutes each for doing our presentation. And I want you to think about if someone, unfortunate situation, but imagine if someone you loved actually had a cardiac arrest. If they didn't receive immediate assistance, they have about an 11% chance of surviving by the time I'm done with my speech. So now consider that first response in the United States, on average, is about a 7-minute process to get an ambulance to somebody if they call 911. In a rural area, that could be 20 to 30 minutes, so a real issue. And the good news is we actually have a capability that gets help there in 4 minutes on average, and in some cases 2.5 minutes, depending on the urban environment and the density. So SkyfireAI develops and deploys artificial intelligence on behalf of running autonomous drones and tactical drone swarms. We started this journey about 2 years ago, partnered with AI Fund, and we're happy to report that today we're actually earning revenue. We have clients that we're going to business with, but more importantly, we have saved lives, and that's really what is a major motivator for a lot of the people involved with the company. In fact, most recently, we saved the life of a police officer in Huntsville, Alabama, exactly a week ago. It was actually last night, a week ago. So this was a situation, it's one of our major client deployments. We are running what they call drones as first response on behalf of Huntsville. We were responding to another call, and on the way back from the other call, our drone picked up an altercation. The altercation happened to be a police officer wrestling with an assailant on the side of the road. The police officer was losing control of the situation and was unable to reach the radio to ask for help. We were able to spot the police officer, to redirect assistance, and we were able to get ahead of the situation and resolve well. It's not the first time that we've had the opportunity to save lives. In the fall, during the hurricane season, we were deployed on an emergency response basis to North Carolina. And while we were in North Carolina, we were credited with saving 13 lives as part of the process of doing search and rescue missions and delivering critical medications to folks who you otherwise just couldn't get to. Really focus on the artificial intelligence applications to it. And it turns out that that's the critical element to enable the drone revolution to happen. If you think of it today, in a given jurisdiction where you're using drones on a public safety basis, you may have 1, 2, or 3 drones that are able to be deployed at any given time. Each one has a pilot. So it's extremely limited in terms of an opportunity to actually provide assistance. It's better than it maybe was before you had the drones, but basically without AI, you're kind of looking at sort of miniature and less expensive and uncrewed helicopters and airplanes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't yet give you the real opportunity of what you can unlock with drones. So the AI is sort of critical to the process. Without it, you even have problems. You have lack of control over airspace. And we saw this last week in Los Angeles. At the Palisades fire, you actually had an issue where a drone struck a firefighting aircraft, and that was an illicit drone operating without authorization, and you had no control of the airspace, which is why it happened. So for us, what we really focus on is how can we use that artificial intelligence to control the deployment, enable the autonomy, enable swarming in certain cases, which we'll talk about momentarily, and ultimately enable an enhanced situational awareness for whoever is the on-scene commander or whoever's the client that you're ultimately serving. We've spent time so far talking about drones as first response, which is the catchphrase for serving public safety and law enforcement, EMS and fire, and that's critical, but the core capability is multi-use. So we're able to deploy our core capability in defense scenarios, and for example, imagine a forward deployed unit that is looking to enhance its situational awareness around threats wherever it's deployed. Critical infrastructure is a part of the equation as well. Think of pipeline management. And when you're thinking about all that, think about the defense case. We've learned a lot from watching what happened in Ukraine, and in this kind of David and Goliath fight that you had, the drones have enabled a leveling of the playing field. It ultimately is critical to the fact that Ukraine has managed to stay sort of where it is in its battle for as long as it has. A lot of the people at the company are very motivated as I sort of hinted before, by these dual missions, this ability to help save lives, the ability to run kind of EMS calls and facilitate and assist with an EMS call on the defense side. We've got people at the company who come from military backgrounds. We have people who come from the intelligence community. We've got somebody, our CTO is from DARPA, where he ran machine learning for DARPA. We also have law enforcement, fire department, EMS personnel, in addition to being entrepreneurs and technologists. So the opportunity to do that now in a company like this, it's what drives so many of us. If we think back to the Huntsville situation, I also come from 3 generations of first responders and law enforcement. So I had many nights when I was a kid where I wondered whether dad was coming home from the shift. Huntsville certainly brought that home for a lot of us. So the fact that we're able to participate and have a positive impact on that is just, enormous for all of us. So, whether it's, hey, let's put up a swarm, a tactical swarm to enable defense of a forward deployed unit, whether it's, hey, there's a pipeline, possible emergency leak, and you've got to get assets out and figure out where that is and the severity of it, whether it's responding to a 911 call, again, all AI kind of enabled, or whether it's, say, launching 12 autonomous drones to deliver life-saving medications out to a hard-hit area as part of a natural disaster. That's what the capability gives us. Or finally, to go back to how I started the conversation, imagine a defibrillator delivered by a drone in the case of somebody who has a heart attack. That's something we can do right now. And in fact, I think the most exciting news for the company in our 2 years of history, we're now in conversations and jointly planning with some contracts in place with a Fortune 10 company to actually develop a public-private partnership where we are able to put drones ultimately on 10,000 rooftops in the United States and be able to deploy them as part of a comprehensive drones as a first response program. That'll give us access to 85% of the population. We're incredibly excited about it because it's an opportunity to bring these life-saving capabilities into the field, the ability to deliver a defibrillator, an EpiPen if necessary, other life-saving medications. And so, in the not too distant future, we feel pretty comfortable that we're going to improve on that response that I talked about at the very beginning of the conversation. We will ultimately we believe that we can do critical response faster than an ambulance, and we are just getting started. So thank you very much.